So now look at the crow. The crow has melanin. The crow has plenty of melatonin. So what I have here in the book that this book should be ready pretty soon is what the crow does. They did some experiments with the crow. They put some bread, a loaf of bread or something inside the jar, and the jar was so narrow that the crow cannot reach its beak into the jar. And so they were trying to find out how the crow would be able to find out a way to reach the bread, the piece of bread. So the crow came and then it looked around. It tried to put its beak in the jar. It couldn't. The beak couldn't get into the jar. Couldn't reach the bread. And so the crow sat for a little bit. I have a video on that. I think the video should be on YouTube as well. So the crow then flew away. It flew away, looking for a tool that can get it to come and get that piece of bread from inside the jar. That's a bird. No one is teaching this bird to do that. No one is giving the bird any instructions. So what makes you think that you need a teacher to teach you, my brother, my sister? That's a bird. The bird came and saw something that it needed. Remember now, we have talked about the word want and need. This crow said, no, I need that bread. It didn't say, I want that bread. Had the crow said, I want that bread, the crow would have been using its right brain. I would have failed. And that's what most other creatures use. But then the crow came immediately and said, this is a left brain activity. It flew. It flew around, took a couple of hours, looking for an iron, a piece of iron. Not a stick, because it knew the stick wouldn't do it. Because, he could have found a stick around, right around there. But it just kept flying, and then it found a piece of iron, and then brought the iron. So the iron was straight. So the bird took this iron in its beak, and then poked the bread inside the jar. But then as he pulled it out, the bread fell. He tried that a couple of times. The bread kept falling, so he couldn't reach it. So right away, this bird put this iron down. The piece of iron, the bird put it down, and then stepped on it, and then used its beak and started to twist it. So this crow bent the iron into a fork, like a hook. Right away, he took the hook side of this iron, and then the straight side was in his beak, and then there he put that thing inside the jar, and that was it. He got the bread. And he ate the bread. My people, did this bird go to some university to learn how to think? Ask yourself that. Did this bird go to some university, to some Caucasian to teach it how to think? No, the bird didn't go to them because the bird knows they don't know how to think either. So how are you going to go to a teacher who knows nothing, and what are you going to expect out of someone who knows nothing when you are needing something? So we have to learn that going to this man to solve our problems is a waste of our time, and we are seeing that happening right now in Ethiopia. This is Ethiopia that we talk about all the time. A brother there went and said, I'm tired of my people going to the IMF. I'm tired of my people calling America for food aid. Let us create our own food. We got the land. We got everything. Why can't we create our own food? We got the seeds. So our own natural seeds are what we'll use there. We are not going to go to buy Monsanto seed. So the brother there got the villagers, and then they all came together. They went around and they made some wonderful contour of the land. They created a different kind of contour on the land where when it rained, the water would seep into the soil and then build the water table underground. And then from that water table, they began to pump the water out, and all the arid areas, all the areas that had no grass at all, once they began to pump that water around that area, it became a fertile ground. Now they are producing massive amounts of potatoes, yams. The people who didn't have a dime before, they are now counting bundles of money. They are not counting bundles of money. See? So all this man does to you, this Caucasian, all he does to us is to make us inadequate. He makes us believe in the superficial power. He makes us believe in the pyrimidine power, the serotonin power. He makes us believe that serotonin is our real power. Rubbish. How can serotonin be a black woman's power? When you are full of melanin and melatonin, and you go running around wanting to pack your head with serotonin, you are a fool. You are a fool. Any black person you see running around like that, tell them they are crazy. They need to go to their Caucasian doctors again to split their brains out and pull their brain out of their heads, because they don't even need to exist. Yeah. The whole solution is in your hands. You are a people of numbers. Why are you afraid of numbers here? You know, I'm so pleased, my brothers and sisters, because my people now around the country, they are calling, just like Yami, before we started here, a sister called, she says she has, I think, 5 children. And one of our daughters, who is 10 years old, that's what she's going to talk to me about, needs help. And so she's going to be talking to me about that. And I'm going to give her the help with numbers. Numbers. The child has ADHD. All those problems are solved with numbers, because the numbers go into the pineal gland. The problem is inside the pineal gland. Because the pineal gland is ineffective in that brain of the child, it is overproducing serotonin and no melatonin. See? That is what is causing the ADHD. This child is not producing enough melatonin at all. And you know what? The doctors are not going to tell the parent that. All they are going to say, take Ritalin. They're going to throw some drug into the throat of that child. And then what that Ritalin is going to do is going to destroy more of the pineal. More and more pineal calcification. And then that child grows up to be 15. She'll be selling drugs. She'll be prostituting. Why do you think you have so many black girls out in the neighborhoods doing all of that craziness? Because they have given them this Ritalin, all these drugs, and their pineal glands are all destroyed, so they no longer have that power within the power, and so these children are going around prostituting themselves, and that's why you have so much high levels of AIDS, a venereal disease in the black community. It's all set up. Destroy their pineal. Destroy what makes the African person function. Destroy that functionality, and then you are going to destroy them here. Now Bill Gates has his drug things, his inoculation, going all around Africa, inoculating children over there to destroy their pineal glands. So my people, we have a high responsibility here. We are the only ones on this planet who know. I'm not scratching my head to say that. I don't care who came before me. Martin Luther King didn't know what I know. I'm saying that. But Malcolm didn't know what I know. I'm saying that. Farrakhan, Wallace Muhammad, all of these people didn't know what I know. And I'm not bragging about that. I'm only saying this because it is a fact. None of these people ever talked about numbers. None of these people talked about your own culture. What is the essence of your culture? What is the essence of the African culture? All they talked about, Martin Luther King talked about Jesus Christ, his Lord. But Malcolm was fooled, kept on talking about Allah. So all of these people didn't give the right teaching. They were all corrupted. I'm not scratching my head in saying that. I will say this anywhere. So I have been opportuned by the ancestors, by the great ancestor, of course, my great-great-grandfather over there, who is still up there in the Bandagara Mountains in Mali, and then by the great-great ancestor there in Imhotep. All of them have come to me to pass this information on to my people, and I'm going to pass it on. You hear my voice and you hear my anger, and they have told me to be angry about it, because we have no business being kicked around by no fools here. We have no business being demeaned. I mean, you look at all those people in Sudan or Somalia over there, hungry babies. And then they tell you, oh, we're sending some food from Europe. Why must Europe feed Africa? And yet still, you got them buying land in Africa to farm and then send that food back to Europe. Even Korea is now buying land in Africa so they can farm in Africa and then send up a food back to Korea. And yet here you see they are loading plane loads of food, bringing those foods down to Somalia. Why? Why? This is more than stupid. Africans are just stupid and idiotic. You know, it makes me mad. So now it has come the time where we have to. It is our responsibility to take back these powers here. The power within the power. And so that power lies as the chimpanzee. The chimpanzee showed. When you work with the numbers, that's what I will send you that image of the chimpanzee with the numbers on the computer screen. All the chimpanzee was dealing with was numbers. So it tells you that with the numbers you can communicate with creatures. Numbers you can look, brother Tommy here in Los Angeles. This brother, one time he was riding his bicycle and then he got off the bicycle and then was just walking with the bicycle and then he ran into I think what do you call this now? These ferocious dogs, whatever they are called, something bull. Okay, so this brother here, the dogs they wanted to attack him. The brother stopped right there and he began to do his numbers from 100 to 00 to 100. The dogs just walked around and walked away. Numbers, so you can communicate with creatures with the numbers. So when you see that chimpanzee beating the human being with numbers, that tells you how corrupt these people have made us. They have made us to move away from the power of numbers to go to this plate of food and philosophy. That's why these people are very philosophical. Everything they tell you is all philosophical. You got to twist your brain to understand what they tell you. You got to twist your brain to understand what they tell you because it's all philosophical. They don't give you straight talk. It is always twisted talk because they have an agenda to keep you subdued, to keep you subjective, to keep you out of synchronization with yourself so you can always go back to them and say, Master, you see, Master, what did you say? So we have to be at a point now where we take control because of the power within the power. Remember this phrase, the power within the power, and you know that the power within the power is coming from your melatonin. The power within the power is coming from your pineal gland. And your pineal gland is what is producing enough melatonin so you have the strength to stand up to any kind of circumstance. To stand up and say, I am not going to take a no for what I know is my need. That is what we got to remember. Don't ever take a no for what you know is your need. Forget about your want. If you want something and somebody says no, say, hey, I get the point. Thanks a lot. Thank you for reminding me of my need. Because what I was looking for was a want. You have just told me that was a want, and I shouldn't be going for a want. I should be going for a need. We got to understand the language. And each word that this man throws at us has a meaning for him. We must know that the meaning behind him consistently is to be able to dilute our denominating power. We are the only humans on this planet that have that denominating power. So you have power at the numerator and power at the denominator. But those two powers are not the same. Because the power at the numerator is your serotonin power. And that is your paper power. Your paper power burns. And that's what you saw happening in the UK. The UK was burning, and you have people now who are homeless because their homes were all burnt. You have someone who is dead right now in UK because of this same superficial power. So that's why this superficial power, your numerating power, that's what it does, because it gives you serotonin. It overloads you with serotonin, and that serotonin makes you aggressive and crazy and stupid. And so you always end up in regret. In hindsight, you say, oh, I wish I never did that. Hindsight. We African people are not supposed to function on hindsight. No. Why? Because we have the denominating power. We have the denominating power, and we must always know what we do. We must always know what the outcome will be. And again, we must always know the difference between a want and a need. So that when we have identified our need, if someone says no to our need, you say, you know, you are going to get out of the way, and I'm going to get my need. You will be out of the way, and I'm going to get this need. I will get this need. And you will be the one to come back and say, you know, I misunderstood you. But I will not turn around and bow down to you. And so our need right now, my brothers and sisters, is this. We are going to take control over this planet. That is our need, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen. And so like the chimpanzee, he says, all right, those who are after want, they want the time to slow down for them. And that's why the Japanese students were competing at the level of 0.7 seconds. So at 0.7 seconds, they performed well. So the ancestors told the researchers, hey, come on, speed up the time. Speed up the time to 0.4 and 0.2 seconds and see who is going to be the one now to take control. Listen. Speed up the time to 0.4 and 0.2 seconds and see who will be in control. Those PhD students, those so-called high IQ students, couldn't compete with the chimpanzee. And that's who you are, my brother. That's who you are, my sister. You have to create your own time. So this man will not compete with you. So they will never compete with you. Let me see this time again. Imhotep. Hey, brother, you know I'm in class right now, so call me in about 1 hour. Yeah, that's my brother. So, you know, this is the situation. We always have to know what our needs are, and we must be able to convince ourselves that these needs are not going to be interrupted by anyone. In fact, if someone comes in the way to interrupt the needs, you heard what I said about the chimpanzee. Change the time. Change the frequency on him. Change the frequency on her. They want things to go slow because, see, they are not matured as matured as we are. Look, like I was saying today, Queen Michelle over there in Toronto with her little 2-year-old singing, Mama, Mama. That little child has that time frequency to tune in with Professor Momo here in California. That little baby. So the baby has control over that time frequency. What makes you think you don't have it? And you go crying behind this man, I want this, please give me this. You go begging. No, you will stop begging from now on. You are going to go there with your chest shown forward, like Brother Myers. This brother from a couple of weeks ago, this brother stands now with his chest pushing outwards. I sent him the photo of the Vi. The brother saw the Vi and his wife in Liberia. I will send that photo to all of you. The brother saw the Vi and his wife. The wife had her breast showing over there, no brazier, nothing, because that's the African culture. And no, you're not going to kick if you see that sister's breast. No, we are not like that. So the brother was standing there with his chest forward, his wife's chest forward. And that's it, Brother Mike saw that. He said, man, this is me. The brother stands down, he talks with his chest outwards. So when you begin to change your own posture, you begin to see that in fact, the power within the power is now beginning to emerge inside of you. This is what the lecture is about today. Monday, we will continue. We are just not going to relent. This time is ours. This moment is ours. Like I said before, we are the water people. We are the carbon people. We are the ones that exist right inside the core of the sun, because inside the core of the sun is carbon. And it's this carbon that creates the hydrogen atoms, which then fuse together to give you the helium, and then the helium produces light. We are the water people. And the water, which is the oceans and the rivers, is now coming as the era of Aquarius. So carbon and water are now coming together. And that's us. Because what does your pineal produce? Your pineal produces that water called melatonin, the black water. Black water is us. And so we have no choice but to appreciate ourselves as the people who have it all. My brothers, my sisters, Nama, we'll see you on Monday.